connecting your brain and body with interactive games and tests. Why is there no physical activity in today's health physical? Trazer is an holistic technology used to rehabilitate, prevent falls, and improve sport performance. Trazer reports provide you, your clinician, your physical therapist, or athletic trainer objective data to make decisions on your health and performance over time. Measure what matters to change your game. Take the Trazer Challenge. Confidence, growth, connected by Trazer.
What's going on, everybody? Your man Eric Wilson here, live on a Monday night for the Sports Arena. We got a jam-packed show to get to, so we ain't gonna waste any time. And mind you, throughout the show, if you see any of us looking down, up, or around, it's pretty much because we are keeping track of the national championship game that is going on between Kansas and UNC. But let me go ahead and get the crew in here. As always, first, our queen of hoops, Miss Megan Price, is in the building. My man, sports reporter without pay, Ray Lynn, with that Lakers hat on because we know we're talking about his team tonight. And then last but not least, our man, John Scheer, Sideline Sports on Blue Hawks 13. So good evening, everyone. We got so much to talk about. And a lot of times we save some of the passing on and moving to the end of the show. But I just want to take a moment really quick with all y'all. And I want to talk about two people who unfortunately have passed away because we want to share our love and our condolences. The first being Bruce Johnson, who was a Washington broadcast journalist and television personality for more than 4 decades. This man was known for his street savvy courage, local politics, urban affairs, and he died in Rehoboth Beach. He was 71. They said the cause was a heart attack. We just want to offer our prayers, our thoughts and blessings and condolences to a man who is in the industry, in an industry sometimes that doesn't allow Black men their voice, especially from the media perspective. So the fact that he was able to do that, the fact that he was able to speak on the issues that concerned him, and the fact that he was able to be in that industry, in that space for 40 years, that truly is it's a pioneer, in my opinion. So we just want to take a moment and recognize that. I'll give everybody else the opportunity to speak if they want to.
Yep. Just most definitely want to say that he'll be missed, and like you said, a pioneer in this industry, and definitely gonna be missed.
You always have a voice here at Sideline Sports.
You definitely have a voice if you're a Black man on the sports arena.
Yeah, it don't matter what you look like, the gender don't matter. You have a voice here.
Let me welcome in my brother, Mr. Mike Carrot-Sunudo's in the building. Mike, I swear to God, you are worse than a Black person because you are forever late.
Oh, I'll be late to my own funeral. My grandpa was in the Army. He said it all the time. I said, well, if there's one thing to be late for, I'll sign up for that. So I just know this was an internet thing. So I don't know what happened, but It's working now. So I'm happy.
All right. The other person who we are going to recognize tonight is a man who played for the Dodgers as well as other teams in Major League Baseball. That is Tommy Davis, a 2-time National League batting champion for the Dodgers. He passed away at the age of 83. Born in Brooklyn, he was actually in Phoenix with his family where he passed. This man, let me just read to you really quick about this man before we go any further, okay? Tommy Davis hit a .346 in 1962 and a .326 in 1963 to become the first batting champion in Los Angeles Dodgers history. Marinate on that for a minute, people. He was a member of the Dodgers World Series championship teams in 1959, 1963, and 1965. He was a left fielder, and a third baseman. Played 18 seasons in the majors, 8 with the Dodgers, played for the Mets, the White Sox, and the Cubbies, Seattle, Houston, Oakland, Baltimore, Kansas City. He finished with a .294 lifetime average, 153 home runs, 1,052 RBIs in 1,999 games. That man is royalty. You ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he was the Dodgers' first batting champ.
He was the RBI leader in 62 also.
Oh, thank you, Megan. Thank you. We just, like I said, we wanted to take a moment and make sure we give people their flowers, and we wanted to start the show tonight doing that because the rest of the evening, I'm sure, is going to be full of excitement, entertainment, and most importantly, listening to Mike Carrottenuto. So we're going to keep it moving here on the Sports Arena. Mike, this is what I do.
Oh, I know. That's fine. I'm good.
But I want to talk about, first and foremost, because we do recognize our queens on here, I want to recognize someone. I want to recognize the University of South Carolina's head coach for women's basketball, Dawn Staley. Congratulations to her. Congratulations to the ladies for winning their national championship game. Somebody talk to me because I know y'all watched this game. Megan, I'm going to go to you because I know you watched this game last night.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Just the impact of a woman in Miss Aaliyah Boston.
Aaliyah is so special. This was 29 double-doubles for her this season. Last season in the game that ended the season for them, she missed the shot at the last second. Stanford won. And they had everybody. What is that? They had everybody. They had all these pictures showing of her crying. And so when she talked to Holly last night, she said, happy tears now. And I love that interview that she gave. She was such a difference maker the entire season. But for the game last night, you got to shout out Henderson. She ended the game with 26 points. Like, she had a massive game, career high for her. So their guard made a huge difference in that game. Their size was obviously a problem for UConn, but Paige, she played really well. I mean, she was a one-woman wrecking show, and everybody else they slacked off in this game.
And that's my thing. So let me go ahead and get John Scheer in when I ask this question. You are at the top for college when it comes to basketball. And I don't know what's going on with my hat here. I will get that fixed. I got a tag somewhere, and I apologize to everybody. Let's just take this off tonight anyhow. UConn just didn't show up, John. Like, I'm just trying to figure out what happened. You were on this tremendous run, and then all of a sudden it just fell apart at the end.
Look, this is a passing of the torch. It's been nice, UConn. You've had your, very long run, but it's now South Carolina's game. It's now Dawn Staley's game. It's no longer your game. So this is really just, a turning of the page. So, I mean, pardon the pun, but, it's South Carolina's game now. So, and sure, soon enough, UConn will be losing Paige. So, whenever they do lose her, they'll be losing that, which is tremendous. My point is, it's South Carolina now. Like, and we've been I feel like we've been kind of seeing this for years with UConn, where they've kind of chinks in the armor, so to speak. Like, I feel like we've been seeing that for a couple years now. And even though they got to the finals, it's just not their game anymore. Other teams have caught up.
Okay. So then I'm going to go to Ray Lynn and ask him one simple question. Ray Lynn, is this the curse of Candace Parker?
No. And John, that is the reach of all reaches. Like,
thank you. I appreciate that.
That's got to be the reach of all reaches. I can't even think of the number.
You wearing that hat as the reach of all reaches.
Hey, listen, because I represent through the good times and the bad.
I know that's
check
right.
Check the Raptors, Miami fan. So,
like, beat them without our two guys. Get out of here.
UConn just lost in the national championship game. And we're saying it's the turning of a page and it's not their game anymore. Like, am I tripping, or is that like, I don't know how many straight Final Fours, how many straight Elite Eights? It's some weird, crazy number. How many times they've consecutively made the Sweet 16, consecutively made the Elite Eight, consecutively made the Final Four. They are women's basketball. As a matter of fact, if South Carolina didn't beat UConn, we're probably not talking about this game. That's a reality. No shot at the women's basketball game. And shout out to Dawn Staley. She's one of my favorites. Like, back in the 90s, I was a huge Damon Stoudemire fan, and I thought Dawn Staley was like the female version of him. I love Dawn Staley, and kudos to her for now carving out her own lane. She is going to be mentioned with the Gino Uriyamas, with the Pat Summitt. She's going to be in that ilk of players. But make no mistake about it, UConn here to stay. They ain't going nowhere because they still get the best recruits from every year. Go look at the WNBA. Look at the women's basketball game. The Paige Beckers go to UConn, right? The Maya Moores go to UConn. Breanna Stewart's, they go to UConn. Like, they will always have talent. They'll be good again next year. They'll win 25 to 30 games next year. They will be in the Final Four next year, and the year after that, and the year after that, and the year after that. We've never seen this level of sustained success from anybody. Not even the men's UCLA team themselves. So women's college basketball is UConn. Yes, they lost in the championship, but it's still it's always going to be UConn's game. Until Gino leaves, it'll always be UConn's game.
Okay, so Mike, you over there nodding your head and co-signing. Talk to me.
Sorry. That was weird. That was my computer. Don't know why. See, internet, man. I'm telling you, internet. But yes, I am shaking my head because John is out of his mind. Raylan, you are 100% right. It has been, they have been made the NCAA tournament. They talked about this 2 days, like yesterday, but even more like 3-4 days ago. They've made every single tournament since 1989. They've made 28 straight Sweet 16s and 14 straight Final Fours and have a record 11 national championships. Now, where I you forgot to mention Diana Taurasi, but that's okay. I get it. It's all right. You look at what Gino's done, and it used to be, we talked about this before. I mean, yeah, Tennessee and UConn when Pat Summitt was there, but ever since Tara Vonderveer has been out west too. I mean, Stanford's collected wins. South Carolina and Dawn Staley, I'm with you. I love what she's done, and that's actually a great comp between. The only thing I couldn't stand about Damon Stoudemire, Raylan, is he went to a crap college. But besides that, he's a hell of a guy. That being said, but no, I mean, look, South Carolina's going to be hanging around. Stanford's definitely going to be hanging around. I mean, Louisville's kind of been at that cusp, not to the level of South Carolina as well, or that South Carolina has been. But yeah, I mean, Paige has another year anywhere. I mean, at least another year. So, and they're young, and Gino just gets the best out of his teams. But look at the game. I mean, I think if UConn won, I think we would talk about it because, Eric, to your point, South Carolina came out and punched him in the mouth. Like, Gino had nothing to say to Holly Rowe. I mean, look, he's always kind of slow and like methodical about what he says when you've seen him in those in-game interviews or even post-game when he goes off on something. But at the same time, like, she's like, what do you need? He's just frustrated. And they were saying he just kept circling the paint. He's not even drawing a play on his clipboard. Dawn Staley had her team go down low, and yes, she had the talent to do it, and punch them in the mouth and make them respond. And early on, UConn couldn't respond. And after that, it was just South Carolina's game to lose. So I commend that effort, but I'm not going to, I mean, I'm with Raylan. Until UConn isn't in a Final Four, let the rest of us know.
Hey, and Mike.
Yeah.
It wasn't a dig at Taurasi. I was just
no. I know.
We can go down the list. Swin Cash, Tina Charles, Rebecca Lobo, Sue Bird. We could do this all day long with UConn women. Like, so, yeah.
Right.
So they haven't won
when you talk about the WNBA draft too, like back in the day, I mean, it was like Tennessee starting 5 and UConn starting 5 was all somewhere in the WNBA. Like when you looked at the draft, it was like, you got to be kidding me. And yeah, there were other good players. I know where you're not saying that. I know it's not a swipe. It's just, you're right. We could fill up the whole hour just naming what Gino did, and even like Pat Summitt, but like, I mean, Tara Vonderveer too, and now Dawn Staley. And I mean, there's just a lot of obviously solid coaches at that level. So it's good to see it. I mean, I'm excited to see it.
And that's fair. That's fair.
I think we would have been. Oh, go ahead.
John, hold on a second. Let me get Megan in here, and then I'm going to go to you. Go ahead.
Fun fact, last time the South Carolina girls won, so did UNC men. So there's that. And then, I think Dawn just brought the energy this year. Like she's wearing these sweatshirts that say women's basketball versus everyone. And I think, no matter who would have won the game last night, we would have been talking about it because more people are talking about women's basketball. More people are watching women's basketball. So I think we would have been talking about it regardless. But I think that's a really good point that UConn is really young. They have several freshmen on their team. In South Carolina, that's not the case. Like they do have a couple of freshmen, but, their main players are 3- and 4-year players. And then also those 2 losses that South Carolina had, there was only 4 points deficit total between those 2 games. So they really shouldn't have even lost those games. I think from the very beginning of the season, they showed us who they were, and they followed up last night.
So can I, just reply to what Mike's saying, because it's nonsense. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not saying that this team is like going to miss the tournament. I'm not saying that. But remember years ago where every time they got to the championship, it was just a blowout. Like they would just dominate whoever it was. It didn't matter. Notre Dame, Stanford, whatever. It didn't matter. They just blow everybody out. But it's been 6 years since Gino has won a title. 6 years. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're not
that haven't been coaching. When you go to 28 straight Sweet 16,
no, I know, but I'm saying it's been 6 years since he won a title.
Okay.
Years ago, like when the mid 2000s and the 2010s, every year you could do your bracket and put UConn and they'd win and they'd blow teams out.
Well,
teams have caught up is my point. Like these other teams have finally caught up, and some of them finally are starting to surpass UConn. That's my point. Is like it's no longer just Gino. It's no longer Luigi.
It was never just Gino, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, it was. If you watch the 2010s, every year was just blow them out. Like didn't matter if it was Stanford or UConn,
there was a few that weren't close, but yeah, you win 111 straight. I mean, again, it's the same side. UCLA won what 8 straight, and then 8 straight, and then 9 out of 10.
Yeah, it's not knocking like what they've done. It's just
right. But either way, it's not going away. We're going to stop getting the top recruits. I mean, the freshmen they have in, you get Paige last year, number 1 recruit. Yes, there are teams recruiting better. Yes, you look out west and what Tara Vonderveer, the one thing she was able to do at Stanford, and even in the Big 12. I mean, when Kim Mulkey was down at Baylor too for all those years, like kids in that part of the country stayed there. Not that Gino doesn't have his pick of the litter up there, but yeah, now you're going to be competing with, well, not now, just now they've been competing with South Carolina. I mean, Louisville, they haven't gotten over the hump, but they've made strong runs too. So yeah, anybody that makes 14 straight Final Fours, you're absolutely ludicrous in saying that, because if they don't make the Final Four next year,
that's the bar they've set. I mean, that's the bar you set when you won that much.
Let me transition to Raylin here, because it seems like we're having a bit of a disagreement, and Raylin seems to be on the side of, listen, UConn, granted, their historic run, the legacy that is Gino Auriemma is synonymous with not only being in the tournament, but continually excelling. And I think John hit the nail on the head when he said the bar has been set with what the expectation is. But again, that expectation is set on by us. That expectation is not set on by Gino or his team. It's the simple fact that when we look at the UConn women's basketball team, we expect them to be not only in the tournament, be a top seed in the tournament, make it to the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, the Final Four, and possibly the national championship game. But that is an expectation that we put on that team, not them. So, Raylin, I want to go to you with this, because you're saying it's not going to change. it's not going there at this particular juncture. And please correct me if I'm wrong. What you're saying is you fully anticipate that with Gino at the helm, UConn is virtually a lock for, at the very least, an Elite Eight appearance.
Absolutely. Like you said, Elite. If you just said Final Four to Finals, I might have thought about it. Elite Eight, book it every single year. Like, and it's because the talent disparity. My dad pointed this out to me a while ago. If you watch the number 1 men's basketball team play against like the number 12 team, right? It may be a game. Like when UConn was at their peak, and even now, South Carolina has now joined the ranks, you can say, right? When they play like the gap between the best team on the women's side and then maybe the number 12 or 13 team is a lot bigger. So UConn is always going to be in the creme de la creme. They're going to be elite. They're going to blow teams out all the way into the Elite Eight, where then there's going to be some competition. And then even then, like, think about this. They lost in the championship game, and John is saying, I was changing of the guard. Again, the expectation is fair because we're comparing them to their own greatness. And I'm saying they haven't done anything to change that. Like, they just lost in the national championship game, and we're talking about it because UConn lost. Like, nobody expects that. It's kind of like Tiger Woods. You remember back in the day when Tiger Woods was in the tournament, they would say such and such is leading the tournament. Tiger Woods is in 54th. Because we as fans want to know what Tiger Woods did because of his level of greatness. That's UConn. Like, them not winning in 6 years is mind-blowing to some people. And again, they have.
I agree. I think last year's exit out of the tournament was more disappointing than this year's. Like, they made it to the championship game, like we knew, and they battled injuries like crazy. So I felt like they performed better this season than last year, because last year's exit was pretty shocking in the Sweet 16. Just my
111 in a row. 111 in a row.
That's insane.
Did the WNBA change the rule and they're going to allow people to enter the draft, or is Paige Becker's coming back next year?
No, Paige is coming
back next year.
Book them in the Final Four.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay. Hold on. No. I'm going to do Raylin like he did me. Raylin, you got the screen. Do it.
No, I just want y'all to know that UConn is always going to be great as long as Gino is the coach. And last I checked, the WNBA has an age limit. So Paige Beckers, who came back off an injury and then still showed us how great she was, if she's coming back next year, book UConn in the Final Four again. This is what they do. They get the best players in the country. Breanna Stewart's there. 4 straight championships while she was there? Diana Taurasi, championship. Paige Beckers is going to be right along the rest of the UConn greats. She will win a championship while she's there, and she will continue the legacy that all the greats before her, the Sue Birds, the Swing Cash, the Tina Charles, the Rebecca Lobos, she will be amongst those names, and she will win a championship. You can book them in the finals next year. You heard it here first. Save this, Eric. Save that so when next year.
Oh, no, I listen. I intend to do that.
And Eric,
with that, Mike, with that, we're going to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about my man Hubert Davis and what he is currently doing right now, because UNC, as you can see, scrolling across, is up 15 at the half over the number 1 seed in Kansas. We're with the crew when we come back. Welcome back into the Sports Arena on a Monday night. Your man Eric Wilson alongside Megan, Raylin, Mike, and John Scheer. So let's talk about it, because we are moving over to the one and only, I'm going to say it, Hubert Davis, head coach of the UNC men's basketball, who are right now at the half up 15 over the number 1 Kansas Jayhawks. Now, for all those who may not know, Hubert Davis is the only man in the ACC in history, pay attention, people, dropping some knowledge here, to not only play, but also coach in a Final Four for his alma mater. All right? Let that sink in and resonate. Let that marinate for a minute. That is the greatness that is this man and what he is bringing to this team. Now, listen, I'll be the first to admit, when we were on the show last Wednesday, I owe Hubert Davis an apology because alongside our special guest, the con man, Michael C., and not Mr. Carrot Tenuto, I did pick Duke to beat UNC. I was wrong. I was blatantly wrong. I just thought that Coach K was on such a ride and everything that had happened, his historic career, which we just talked about with UConn, now I'm talking about with Duke, I just thought they were going to be able to win this out for Coach K. I was wrong. Hubert Davis, sir, you have my respect. What you have done with this team and putting them in this position, beating your arch rivals, not only in the regular season, but also when it counts. Yo, yes, sir, I humbly apologize and ask for your forgiveness, but let me move on. Let me go right back to Mike Carrot Tenuto. Mike, when you look at this, we're looking at Kansas, we're looking at UNC, my brother. What are we seeing here with these two teams?
I just think that UNC's, I mean, to our point, like we said on Wednesday, and I mean, I know I said it'd be close, but UNC's the hottest team in the country right now. I mean, ever since I know when Hubert Davis, speaking of Hubert Davis, when he jumped in that presser last week and the reporter had asked all the way back from the Pitt game or Wake game, whatever they lost, and it was bad. He's like, why are you talking about something 9 weeks ago? But look, I mean, they've just been the hottest team. I don't think that they were, and of course, you know, you always see it. And I heard some people today saying, oh, you know, they're not an 8 seed, this or that. Well, their first half of the season, I mean, they got hot, but there were teams that stayed hot the whole time. So I wasn't really upset with their seeding, to say the least. But I mean, you're seeing how they're playing now, and I think Kansas, you know, I mean, yeah, selfishly, you kidded around a while back, Eric, when we were messaging, we all want to be right about our picks. But at the same time, I thought Kansas would be the first number one out just because of how shaky they were down the stretch of Big 12 play. And not that there weren't good teams, but you looked at Kansas, everyone's like, oh, it's a number one seed. And it's like, man, they look kind of shaky going in. Look, they proved me wrong. They punched Villanova in the mouth from the beginning of the game, just like South Carolina did to UConn last night. I mean, believe me, I know, Eric, it's painful for me too. But that being said, like, Hubert Davis was the right guy for the job, and I just crack up because you know how I feel every time somebody says, fire the coach, fire the coach. Okay, and then when you turn around and ask them, who's walking through the door, they're like, they just want like a big splash, like somebody's just going to leave their job and come to their, you know, their school, their team, whatever. But Hubert Davis played in the program, knows the tradition, mild-mannered dude. From everything I've read, doesn't curse. I mean, he'll yell at his players if he has to, be loud, but he knows the program. Like, obviously, it's in his blood. I mean, when Roy Williams came back, everybody's like, oh, you know, Carolina blood, this and that. So, I mean, they're just showing why they're the hottest team in the country. I mean, they look. It's like the NHL playoffs. We kid around. You get a goalie that stands on his head, Eric, because you know you can get all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals if you have a goalie that does that, no matter what seed you are. These guys, they've grown up, and we've talked about the one and dones before. I'll leave it on this. Like, you know, with the one and dones, the one thing that's changed is when I've talked before, like, yeah, you get teams that are together for 3-4 years, and with COVID, I mean, you got some guys 23, 24 years old banging on some 17, 18-year-olds that obviously aren't fully grown, talented, but not grown. These guys matured at the right time. This team is literally, these starting 5 and the 6, maybe 7 he plays have literally grown in front of our faces. And I'm just glad to see they're smacking Kansas. That's all I got to say.
All right. So let me go to Ray Lynn and say again, looking at Kansas, looking at UNC, you know, we talked about it with the women's side of this is what the expectation is. When looking at this matchup, can we say that this is something that we are going to continuously see moving forward with these two teams?
I hope so. It would be good for college basketball. I mean, like, football is better when certain teams are good, right? baseball is better when the Yankees and Dodgers are good, right? College basketball is better when Duke and or North Carolina are good. It's just a fact. Like, I mean, people outside that region, like, they don't get it. I live here in North Carolina. Like, this is good for college basketball. And then, I mean, shout out to Hubert Davis. It sounds like we always have to bring this up, but we have to bring it up. Like, it's always good to see another black head coach having success, because then it kills those myths and those rumors that they can't get it done, right? Like some of those old, almost slavistic way of thinking, like they don't have the mental capacity to lead young men. So shout out to him in his first year, looking like he's going to win a national championship. And they talk about Calipari like he the GOAT, and he got one in as long as he been coaching. So in his first year, following a Roy Williams with 3 championships at UNC, like you come in with all this pressure, coming behind Roy, being the first guy behind him, and here you are in the national championship game. So I hope he can continue this trend. Obviously, winning. You're already at UNC. People want to come there. But now winning, right, that's going to bring in more recruits. Hopefully, he can continue this for a very long time. The most interesting thing for me about North Carolina, their rivals, is going to be to see how the predecessor, am I saying that right?
Yep.
The person who follows
successor.
Yes, successor. Thank you, Mike.
That's the word I'm looking for. Predecessor before his successor, how he's gonna fare. Because Hubert Davis just did the unthinkable. You follow Roy Williams, and like for any naysayers, you just ended all of that in your first year. So this should keep him off the hot seat for a very long time, and UNC should have continued. Kansas will always be good. Kansas is one of those teams that they'll be good.
Okay. So then let me go to our queen of hoops here, Megan, and talk to me about this, because what I'm looking at and what I'm seeing with this men's basketball is, Mike hit the nail on the head. You have experience versus youth, and sometimes it works in your favor and sometimes it doesn't. But in this particular instance, it's working because of the continuity, because of the energy, because of the chemistry, and because of the coaching. So does college basketball, Megan, do they need to rethink the one and done, two and done, whatever? I know they've made changes throughout, but should they make college, go back to, you have to play at least into your junior year before you can make yourself eligible for the NBA?
Oh, I love that you asked me that. Absolutely not. They should not do that. I always had a problem with the fact that they are not allowed to go out of high school straight into the pros. I feel like it's wrong. I felt like when we watched Zion in the All-American game, that we were watching a man amongst boys. Like, I felt like he was somebody that could go straight into the league. Kobe went straight into the league. Andrew Bynum, I mean, not the greatest example, but went straight into the league. Like, there are some that are, men against boys, amongst boys. Like, they should be allowed. And I think the same thing with the women's. Like, if you're able to carry that load, then you should be able to do it. And I love what the NBA is doing with the G League, or you can go over somewhere else overseas and play for a year, and then you're eligible to get into the draft. I think it's the right thing. I kind of like what baseball does. Either if you're going to go to college, you got to play all your eligibility, and then you can go into the draft, or 3 years, my bad, or you can go into the draft straight out of high school. I mean, I like both of it, but I don't like what the WNBA does. I don't think you should have to be at college for 4 years. You run the risk of injuring yourself, and your career's over. Now at least they get to get paid make some money off their likenesses while they're in college, because the NCAA been making money off of them for a very long time.
Okay, so hold on, Megan. I want to talk to you about something, because you brought it up, so I want me and you real quick. So I hear what you're saying. However, because on the women's side of things, we know, you and I know, I'm not saying that Ray or John or Mike don't, but you and I have firsthand knowledge of knowing the women in the WNBA don't get paid what we feel they should be. They have to go overseas in order to make some type of monetary compensation befitting to them. On the men's side of things, they have the ability to, like you said, maybe go into the G League or maybe go overseas to make themselves eligible. We don't want that, though. I'm trying to keep homegrown talent here. I'm trying to make sure that the next, and I'm not going to use a Kobe or a LeBron or a Giannis or a Joel Embiid or anybody like that. I'm just saying, whoever that next star is, whoever that next all-star is, I just feel like you should be able to play 2 years, maybe 3, and then go into the league, as opposed to, because the one and done, it's like, yeah, you might be a man amongst boys at that level. But when you get to the NBA, you playing with some grown men.
I mean, absolutely. And Kobe, when his first year in the league, he wasn't putting up major numbers like that. I mean, he was a rookie. He wasn't getting that many minutes, and he wasn't putting up a ton of numbers. But I don't think that he should have had to go to college. What if he would have injured himself, and then we never would have seen Kobe Bryant play basketball in the league? You know, like, I think they have every right to go make their money, and then when they want to go back to college, go do it. But I think if you're ready, go.
All right, let me get Raylyn in here. Go ahead, Raylyn.
Yeah, I mean, so you guys were mentioning some of the high school players, right? Like in the 2000s, I think some of the greatest players in the league all came out of high school. Murray Stoudemire, Dwight Howard, LeBron James, Kobe, Kevin Garnett, Tracy McGrady. All those guys came straight out of high school. And I get it, for every one of those guys, there was a Tyson Chandler, Eddie Curry, J.R. Smith, like those guys that came, Deshaun Stevenson, that came out of high school. My biggest issue with it, and even now, the best players in the league now are all one and done guys. Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis, Devin Booker, John Morant, Trae Young, all one and all your stars. Kyrie Irving played 11 games in college. Like, they're all one and done guys. So the best talented guys do not hang around long. In fact, I can't think of the last 3-4 year guy was Duncan, and that was in 98, right? My biggest issue with it is, it's not about the players. It's not about not being ready. It's a money grab for the NCAA. They're saying, if all the talented guys bypass our product and go to the league, then we don't have a product. So now they're going to force guys to come at least play for a year. I'm very surprised that more guys don't do what Brandon Jennings did and say, you know what, I'm going to go overseas and play for a year. Again, athletics is the only place in the world where at 18, we're saying, you can't make the kind of money you could be making because we say so. Even with the NIL, like with the name and likeness, why can't somebody make, like, it took them forever to get that right. So now we're going to backtrack and take even more steps back and say, no, you got to go to college for 2 years. Why, when I'm good enough to be over there making millions of dollars doing it? So that never set well with me.
Like Lonzo Ball and Jalen Green, they put the blueprint out there of what to do. If you don't want to go to college and do it, they showed you exactly how to do it.
Okay. All right, let me get Mike and John back in here to get some final thoughts on this. And then we are going to transition to the NBA, because I got some questions from my man who is that way, talking about his Los Angeles Lakers. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, before we get out of here tonight, since one was done last Wednesday and it's been a minute since I've done one, there will be an Eric's rant. Just FYI, I'm letting y'all know. But Mike and John, talk to me about, this whole college situation. Please, both of you, give me your thoughts.
Well, I think that, Megan said it too. Like, baseball is one of those things where, and there's loopholes with baseball too, Megan. But yeah, they can get drafted out of high school if they choose to play Division I. They're there for 3 years. But here's the loophole: if they're good enough and they go the junior college route, they can be back in the draft the next year. That's a little loophole.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
There's a lot of good JC baseball teams out there. For basketball, look, now that the G League did it that way, and this is where I just kind of sort of disagree with you, Megan, because Raylyn, you brought the names up. You talk about a KG, you talk about a Kobe, you talk about Dwight Howard. Amari Stoudemire was amazing here. I don't disagree. But come on, Kwame Brown, Darius Miles, he would have benefited from at least a year of college, if not 2. Like, a lot of all those guys that were busts, like, yeah, they made some money, but then they bounced around, and that was that. And it's like, well, now you can't go back to college. So look, the fact that G League's doing what it's doing too, that some guys can make more than others, but the fact you can go straight there, then if you do go to college, I'm not saying it should be 3 years like baseball, but I think it should be 2. I think it will help the guys out. And you talk about guys that stay 4. You look at guys that, that play at a, but I can think about that Butler team that lost to Duke in 2015. There were quite a few guys that were older. It's like, all right, they'll get a look in the league. But I think it's somebody, and all kidding aside, it's not about the Suns, but like look at Mikal Bridges. I mean, staying at Villanova that time, was he ready? Could he left the year before? Sure. Would he have been the same player? Maybe not. But I'm with you in the percentages of the one and dones, like being those guys. But for the most part, I mean, KG got banged around a little bit. To Megan's point, Kobe has some points. I just think that if you're not going to go to the G League, and you're right, Raylan, if you're not going to go overseas, if you go overseas instead of the G League, then yeah, you should be able to come back in the draft. But if you're going to go to college, why not stay for 2 years?
Mike, can you answer a question for me?
Sure.
Tell me 2 players in the NBA right now that stayed in college and are stars. Tell me 2.
Are stars, or that are starters playing well and contributing?
Stars. The stars of our league. Tell me 2 of them that stayed in college.
And Kawhi is a bad example. I feel like he would have benefited more from not playing with a bitter Jordan at that point.
Probably.
My point is, it's about talent. College didn't help Adam Morrison. College didn't help Jimmer Fredette. College didn't help the kid from Creighton. He's a role player now. I can't even think of his name, right? Like, it's a matter of talent. The only guy in the league that's a star right now that stayed a long time is because he went to a small school is Dame Lillard. Nobody knew what Weber State was.
Right, but it's not even – but look at – if we're going to say a star, guys, it's getting a lot of obviously more – because, the Suns have done well, but Mikal Bridges. I mean, people – the way he plays, what he's done, I mean, he's a starter, B, he's a huge contributor. Whether it's defense or points every night, he's doing it. And I'm not saying that the numbers aren't higher, because, of course, the numbers are going to be higher when you look to your point. And I'm not saying they're not talented. I mean, you look at a guy like – Devin Booker his first year. Even Kobe Bryant. I mean, like Megan said, Kobe Bryant we knew he was going to be really good. Jerry West is like, this dude's going to be really good. Like, I know it. And he sold that to Shaq when Shaq came, obviously, coming to LA too. But that's the thing. Like, with the numbers that have come out, yeah, absolutely. But.
All right. So let me go to John for final word. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk Lakers and Nets. John Scheer, final word, sir.
Just let them do whatever the hell they want. Just let them do what they want. If you want to go to the NBA, you're out of high school, go do it. If you want to go to college, one and done, do it. Like, do whatever the hell you want. Like, who are we to tell you, you can or can't do this or that? Like, if you want to go and do it, Kobe Bryant got to do it. Go and do it. Like, why should you be held back and told you can't do it? You know what I mean? Like, if you want to go and play the NBA and you think you're good enough, go for the draft, and if you get drafted, you do, and if not, well, that's just a life lesson.
Eric, can I ask you a question? Eric, I got a question for you then. To John's point, then, so instead, like for these like guys that want to go out of high school, do you think there should be a leeway though too? So like, don't hire an agent out of high school. Go to the. You can still be evaluated, and if they don't get drafted, they didn't hire anybody. They didn't take anything that. Oh, maybe they shouldn't. And even if it's a name, image, and likeness thing, then they can still get away with that. I'm sure there's loopholes, but not hire an agent and just go see the process. And if you don't get drafted, then you can just go, if you want, you can enroll in college.
Mike, that's a great question. We're going to stick a pin in that. Save that for another time, because I definitely want to get to the NBA. We're going to take a real quick break, folks. More with the crew in just a moment, but that conversation to be continued. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here on a Monday Night Live with the crew here at the Sports Arena. Megan, Ray, John, Mike, and your man Eric Wilson here. All right, so let's talk about the NBA, because if at the beginning of the season, after everything that had went down, I told y'all that the Lakers and the Nets might not make the playoffs this year, y'all all looked at me like you did when I said Milwaukee wasn't making the playoffs. Y'all all would have looked at me and been like, yo, what is this brother on? And in the immortal words of our brother Alex Fleming, I, Eric Wilson, need to be drug tested. However, this is what we're faced with. There is a true possibility that they might get to the play-in tournament, but they might not make it out of that. And I'm talking about both teams. So, Raylin, you the Laker dude? Sir, what on God's green earth is going on with your team?
It's embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing.
The Spurs, that's what's going on with them.
I mean, it ain't like we played the Spurs 82 times. Like, we can't beat nobody. We can't beat nobody. We went out, we had a good lead against Denver. And you know what, man? For all the flack Anthony Davis gets, let me take this time to say, like, he at least goes out there and gives it a go. Last year in the playoffs when he was hurt, he went out there and at least tried. The other night, you could see him wincing in pain throughout the entire game, but he fought through it and had a solid game, 28, 29 points. But it's just embarrassing. I put something on Facebook and I said, this has never been our successful formula. I put the big four from 04 with Peyton and Malone. Then I put the big four when we added Nash and Dwight Howard with Kobe and Gasol and Artest in this year's team. It's never been our successful formula to throw a whole bunch of guys who were number ones at different points in their career together. Like, we've always had a dynamic duo, i.e. Magic and Kareem, i.e. Kobe and Shaq, i.e. Kobe and Gasol. Even if you go back to Jerry West and Wilt, we always had a dynamic duo with a bunch of solid pieces around them. This ain't never been our formula for success, but I didn't expect this. This is horrible. It's embarrassing, but I'm going to still ride my team. That's why I wore the hat on here, and I'm going to still say this because, Mike, I got to ride it till the wheels fall off. If we make that play in, y'all don't want to see us in the first round.
Wheels already fell
I'm
off.
going to stick with that. I'm going to stick with that, Mike.
I love it.
Okay, so then Mike Caratanudo, I'm coming to you, sir, and I'm asking this question. Should what Raylin said comes to fruition, are you scared of the Los Angeles Lakers playing the Phoenix Suns?
He shouldn't be.
No, absolutely not. But it's to what Raylin said, though. Like, look, to your first question, though, real quick, like, I would be, when Raylin said it's not the formula, it's true. I mean, as much as I did, and it's on here, it's documented, I love the Westbrook signing, but I thought by at least the All-Star break going and afterwards, I thought it would be gelling a little bit better. Davis gets banged up. That's that. But yeah, to be in fear of him, no. The Suns, I don't think. And again, to quote somebody that Megan actually likes, Jeff Van Gundy, instead of Stan. But no. I mean, look, the way they've played, and I mean, Book sat out yesterday, and yeah, they got punched in the mouth a little bit by the Thunder. But I mean, it's one of those things where no, because it's a 7-game series. Can the Lakers win? Can the Lakers win 1 or 2 games? Sure. I'm not going to count, LeBron if he's healthy, but with what they did last year and the fact that it's fast forward another year and they're as deep, absolutely not. But I would have been more shocked with, to Raylan's point, the Nets not making the playoffs, Eric, than the Lakers. Cause I'm like, there's no way the Lakers won't be in that top 6, 7. And even if they have to go in a play-in again, I'm like, they'll probably get in.
All right. So let me go to John Scheer, who is just loving life right now because, his Miami Heat are doing what they do, even though I don't suspect them going much further than the first round. And God forbid, John Scheer, God almighty, if you play Philadelphia in the second round, I'm letting you know. I've already said it. Let me repeat myself one more time. The Philadelphia 76ers are going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Book it, people. But John Scheer, Talk to me about Brooklyn, John, because this was not what we anticipated with them.
I mean, they've been playing. Nobody's really been paying attention to the minutes that they've been, dropping on KD and Kyrie lately. I mean, that's been abysmal. They've been running these guys ragged. They're going to get in the playing game. I mean, the team right now that's hot out of those 4 and they're all getting in the play-in, but the Hawks are really hot right now. They've gotten really hot, so that's going to be a hard team to beat in the play-in. But I think the Nets will be fine. I mean, the teams around them aren't very good. The Hornets aren't very good for my money. So yeah, as long as you have KD and you have Kyrie, you're going to get to a playoff series. I can't say they're necessarily going to win. I have no idea who they're going to play, but they're going to win the play-in, be 7 or 8. I can't see them losing to any of those teams around them. I just can't. The wheels have fallen off for the Cavs. I mean, they're not even going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to get their ass beat, knocked out of the play-in. That's what I think.
All right, so let me go to our Queen of Hoops, Megan Price. Megan, simple question: between the Lakers and the Nets, which team gets in? If both of them do, that's fine. But who gets in and who doesn't?
I think this is pretty obvious. And you go look at the records. The Nets are a team that's over 500. They're 40-38. Then you go over to the Lakers. Lakers are 31-47. I definitely don't think the Lakers are even making the play-in tournament. The Nets will make the play-in tournament. The Nets will make the playoffs most likely. I agree with John. I think the Nets will make the playoffs. They will be there in that first round, and I don't think they go much further than that.
Megan,
I think the
you
Nets
guys
are
have the
going
tiebreaker over the Lakers, correct?
We own the tiebreaker with the Lakers.
Okay, so you're up 2 with 4 games to play, and you have the tiebreaker. So you're basically up 3.
Right. So, like I said, I don't think Lakers are making the play-in tournament. I don't think we're going to do much with it. Just as long as we can keep the Lakers from doing it, I'm satisfied with my season. We got popped the record, and we kept the Lakers from doing anything. So, to me, that's a success. But the Nets have had to battle way more than what the Lakers have had to battle when they've had injuries. Then they lost one of their big 3. Now, don't get me wrong, AD's been injured. They've had a few problems with the Lakers, but it's been a little different over there with the Nets. Like they had 7 people that were on the injured list. So, and then they lost James Harden, and then they picked up somebody who's not playing in Ben Simmons. So, I think that they've had to battle through more, and I think their record speaks for itself. Lakers look like some bums.
I told you guys at the beginning of the year they're a nursing home. I told you.
You did say
their oxygen tanks ran out.
Raylin, you gonna let him do this to you?
Listen,
it's not even worth Raylin. It's not even worth your breath. I mean,
that's because he doesn't have an oxygen tank.
No, listen, man. The facts are the facts. Like the Lakers look atrocious this year, but we can talk about everybody else's team on here. I mean, we can talk about the fact that Miami's just happy being the number 1 seed. Nobody expects.
What you mean being happy?
Playoffs. We can talk about the fact that Megan just admitted on the show that they're just happy that the Lakers didn't make it. They're happy. They don't expect to win.
You're right. We're in the middle of a rebuild. We're in the middle of a rebuld. We have no Hall of Famers on our team.
You can talk about how Mike's Suns aren't a finals team.
And Eric, that dude at the bottom. This is the second least scariest 60-win team I ever seen, with the first being the Atlanta Hawks that won 60 a few years back. Nobody's scared of the Phoenix Suns. Nobody thinks they're going to win the championship.
Nobody's scared of the team that's won more road games than anybody else has won at home. Because winning on the road in the playoffs
update on the championship. Hey, Eric, update on the championship. It's 46
we
to
bet
41.
bottles of wine and all that stuff on here, right?
Megan, I got it scrolling across the bottom, baby girl. I got you.
Oh.
Go ahead, Rick.
Nobody's scared of the Phoenix Suns.
It's Thursday.
Nobody's scared of a team that's won more road games than anybody's won at home. But that's good. That's good thinking.
You think all that talking gonna
Jeff
scare
Van
somebody?
Gundy said, who would know about having terrible teams and know about having teams that are favorites and coaching them and being in the mix. He's like, the Suns are head and shoulders above. And for Kendrick Perkins to actually say he's the only one that's been saying it all year, I kind of crack up because I'm like, all right, we'll see what happens. But yeah, they're more of a finals team than the Heat because you're right, Eric. I hope Philly stays where they are because they're going to smack Chicago in the first round. And then if that crap Miami team gets past the first round, like you said, Philly's going to smack the hell out of them too. But hey, when the Suns get back to the finals, I'll just wait for all your guys' excuses as to why they're there from the Western Conference. That's what I want to hear. But I'm not bitter, Eric. I'm not bitter.
Y'all going to the finals. We all know y'all going to the finals.
Do you hear how low the standards are on this panel? Oh, my team's number 1. My team's rebuilding.
Low standards.
What do you mean low standards?
They don't want to
win.
win.
In the East,
they don't want to win, Eric. They want to win.
Yeah,
what do you mean low standards?
Low standards. The top team in the West.
Record in the NBA. Get out of here with that nonsense.
Yeah. It's okay.
They made the playoffs 23 years in a row.
And I've stuck by your side, Raylin, with the Lakers saying that you have points. And look, I agree. It's tough because Anthony Davis, street clothes, as Chuck so kindly nicknamed him. You're right. When he's out there, he does give it a shot. All I'm saying is, Mike, if a team's not going to be intimidated by the Suns, who have won more road games than any team has won at home.
How many times you gonna say that? You done said it 7 times.
Because it's harder to win on the road.
Nobody's scared of them, Mike.
To win on the road.
Mike, nobody's scared of the Phoenix Suns. That's
really because according to a person I can't stand, and Richard Jefferson and Kendrick Perkins are like, who's beating the Suns?
Hey, Mike,
I'm not referring to Kendrick
if it was
Perkins.
a Lakers team doing
Michael
this, all about it.
Michael Cartenuto, this is the sideline sports. This is the sports arena. We have our own platform. Stop telling me what Richard Jefferson and Van Gundy and Kendrick Perkins say. Stand on your own words, Mike.
I tell you all the time. You say they're not scared. Why would anybody not be intimidated of a team that can whoop them at home? Because on the road, nobody's won more. Who's won more games on the road? Who's won more games? Who's won more games on the road?
Fame right now. That's your claim to fame. This year we won the most games.
So when the Lakers and the Bulls did it, when the Lakers do it, it's a big deal. Talk about Lakers. Lakers this and this. When the Bulls do it,
Mike,
what's the difference?
We're in the last week of the season. We're in game 77, 78. And all year on this show, you've yet to say we're going to win the championship. Your goal is to come out the West.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Mike. I have said it. I said they're going to win it. Every time John says they're not a finals team, and even before that, I said they're the best team. They're going to win the championship. You don't respect it. If it was the Lakers or the Bulls teams or if Kevin Durant was doing it, it'd be, oh, yeah, you got to fear this team. Cool. Don't fear them. When they whoop your ass on the road, let me know about it.
You know why nobody fears them? Because y'all
don't have to fear them. Good, don't fear them.
Y'all are led by the guy who comes up short every single time. I've never seen a player get as many passes as Chris Paul gets. When he had talent in New Orleans, they were young. When he had all that talent in with the Clippers, he get hurt. Then Blake get hurt. People go, he didn't have help in LA. Blake Griffin, all NBA. DeAndre Jordan, Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Jamal Crawford, 6th man. JJ Redick, one of the best shooters in the league. Gets to Phoenix. What happens when he gets to the finals? Chris Paul hurt. Let's not skip the Houston debacle. When they lost the lead, why? Because Chris Paul got hurt. Every single time it matters, Chris Paul will come up short. Mark my words.
Chris Paul got hurt last year and then came back and beat the Lakers, beat the Nuggets, and then beat the Clippers. And they were up 2-0, and they lost to a team that was better than them. Fine, I can admit that.
Say it again.
There's nobody in the West that's going to beat them this year. So the fact that you think, I don't care if they fear them, they're going to whoop their ass.
Mike, they was up what in the finals?
They were up 2-0. That's fine.
And they lost 4 in a row? Lord have mercy.
They did.
Eric, it's time for your rant, man. Get Mike out of here.
But the Lakers were already home because the Suns sent them home, sent the MVP home. There was excuses for Jokic. See, that's the great thing about it. There was excuses for Jokic.
Hey, Mike, were you alive when Phoenix won the championship?
They haven't won one. That's fine.
Oh, no.
That's fine.
Okay, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I am bringing it back. Because it has been requested, I'm bringing it back. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mike, you're in timeout. Get out of here. All right. The return, since we started it last Wednesday, but once again, Eric's rant.
Swung on and hit in the air to deep left center.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is the return of Eric's rant. Like I always say, I'm just another loudmouth with an opinion. So whether you like it or not, here it goes. Some news out of my team, the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that I live, breathe, eat, sleep, and die for. Mostly die on some Sundays, especially when they play them damn Cowboys. But anyhow, Howie Roseman, a man that I have been very, very critical of. I have called for the firing of Howie Roseman more than I've ordered a number 7 at McDonald's. But let me put it to you like this. Howie Roseman, what did he do? Today in a trade, Eagles are sending picks number 16 and 19 in the first round and number 194 in the 6th round to the New Orleans Saints in exchange for picks 18, first round, 101, 3rd round, 237 in the 7th round, and to add that, a 2023 first round pick and a 2024 second round pick, which means if you look at picks 15 through 19 in this year's upcoming draft at Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium, Eagles have picks 15 and 18. Saints have picks 16 and 19. Now, why do I tell you all this? Because the Eagles had 3 picks in the first round. And when I sat down and I really thought about this, I said to myself, Howie, what are you doing? We got 3 first-round picks. You already have gone on record and saying that Jalen's our guy. So you build and protect this brother. You want to call him the franchise guy, or you want to give him a shot to be that guy. Yo, protect the brother. Get him some weapons. Do whatever you got to do. But I say Howie actually did something today that I have to give him credit for. He prepared for our future. Now, look, people are going to look at me and say, Eric, look what Tampa did 2 years ago. Look what the Rams did last year. Why does not Philly have that same mentality? This is about seizing the moment, and the moment is now. Get what you can get and get your ass another championship. However, I would ask all of you outside of the 215, outside of the 610, outside of the 717, take a step back and look at what we have. Because what we have is a true opportunity to give Jalen Hurts what he needs to be successful. Now, listen, if Jalen can't get it done, guess what? There's a whole list of quarterbacks coming out in next year's draft, and I damn sure believe we could find somebody better than him. But for this moment, for this year, for this time, what I'm going to say to you is this. Howie, I applaud what you did. And I truly, truly hope that what you are thinking, what you are putting down, the rest of us as Philly fans are going to pick up. Because, Howie, please believe me, we will walk and pick it outside of Lincoln Financial if your plan does not work. You already know us. You see us in these streets, Howie. So you better get it right. Because if you don't, oh, we coming. We going to stand outside Lincoln Financial, right outside that beautiful statue of Nick Foles and Doug Peterson. And guess what? We coming for that ass. Be prepared. Let me get the crew back in here so we can all say goodnight. I want to thank everybody for this. Megan, give me an update really quick because I had to turn it off so I could get my rant done. Where are we at with this whole Kansas UNC thing?
It is 48-47 with 11:30 left.
Oh, we got time. Okay.
This
Ladies and
man
gentlemen, we're going to ride out of here tonight.
You said I called for the firing of Howie Roseman more than ever ordered the number 7 at McDonald's. I was losing it, man. I thought that was fantastic.
Yes.
I was going to pick it out. I was going to pick it outside of the Ranger Stadium if they didn't give me my season. So I feel you. And Thursday's opening day. Thursday's opening day.
There's no hidden message. There's no reverse psychology, whatever. I saw it, and it's the Saints trying to release money. I think he did a good job for once, maybe.
Megan, John, and Ty, who's not here, Ray Lynn, and Mike. Y'all know how I feel about my team. And if there is one person who I am going to put blame on, it is on the fact that Howie Roseman does not, when it comes to the draft, he does not get it right.
So
we could run down the laundry list of all the potential players that Philly could have had. But you know what? What do I always say? Shoulda, coulda, woulda. If it was a fifth, tune in Thursday night to the sip-off. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all.
So
we are getting out of here. We will talk to y'all on Wednesday. For my sports reporter without paying, my man Ray Lynn, Megan Price, 806 of the sip-off. Check out my man John Shear tomorrow night, Sideline Sports at 8:30. Mike Carrasco, Believe in the Pac-12. Your man Eric Wilson for the Sports Arena. Hey, much love to everybody. And we will talk to y'all on Wednesday. Peace.